Did this just become the I Miss Subutai podcast?
Welcome to the Tairimo Boys podcast. I'm your host, Cody. With me in second chair is the man who will pillage your ale and your women. It's Jeremy.
Yes, both at the same time.
With me in third chair is the man who will slash first and ask questions later. It's Ryan.
What's up? Let's punch this camel.
All right, straight away into the camel punching.
Good way to start off. Conan, the PETA Nightmare.
So, if you haven't figured out by both the name of the podcast episode and what we're talking about already, we're doing the second Conan movie, Conan the Destroyer. So, let's get into it. Ryan, what are your first thoughts?
It was dumb fun. Still fun. Still on brand.
So, it's Tairimo Boys Certified Fun?
Uh-huh.
Jeremy?
Certified. Certified Tairimo Boys fun.
Yep, certified. Copyrighted. Trademarked. If you ever use the word fun, you owe us money.
Maybe not a lot, but we'll take it.
A fraction of a penny. This movie, it's the usual fun you can expect from the kind of stuff we watch until we start getting into like really bad stuff, which we haven't yet.
Oh, but we will. We will.
We will. Just you wait.
Trust us. It will get bad.
Yeah, fun, silly. It's the usual campiness.
Over the top.
Over the top. I'm gonna have to add safer than last time.
I could see that.
Because of their cardboard swords?
As opposed to the fake squishy Warhammers from last time.
Uh-huh.
Alright. Just like with our first Conan review, we're gonna have a little quiz, so grab that.
I don't have my cheat sheets up.
No cheat sheets. No cheating this time. We're gonna start with you, Jeremy.
No!
Question number 1. What was the skinny white sidekick's name that replaced Subutai?
Malik.
Yes, that is exactly correct.
I swear I did not cheat for that one.
Where was my Subutai?
What happened to Subutai? Is that something we missed, like, in the novel?
No.
Was there a novel? Or is it comics? What is it?
No. I, looked. I was like, okay, so where's Subutai at? There is, in the whole Conan universe, there's, pages of all this lore. And then Subutai's page just mentions the first movie. Nothing else.
So sad. I was actually hoping to see Subutai again.
Yeah. So, Marvel, if you're listening to this, you're probably not because we're still small. We want a Subutai conclusion story or a follow-up story, better yet.
Justice for Subutai.
So, Ryan, next question. What was the Black Lady Warrior's name?
Tom Bombadil.
This character was not cut out of the film, so that is exactly wrong. Do you have an actual guess, or?
I do not. I don't even remember anybody's name except Conan's.
Yeah. So this movie has the same problem as the last one. I don't know, Jeremy. Do you cheat?
I did not cheat. I actually rewatched it today.
So this movie has the same problem as the last one, where they're not mentioning character names, and I literally counted. It's literally 30 minutes between them introducing Malik and them saying his name, and same thing with Black Lady Warrior, whose name was Zula. Either of her introductory scenes, they don't say her name. It's later on during some drunken scene. It's like, oh yeah, the Zula, she's blah 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 blah.
Her name is only mentioned twice in the entire movie.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. It's two or three times actually.
And then Malik, the only reason I remember it is because Arnold yelling it in his accent was funny.
Yeah, it was still 30 minutes after the character's introduction. All right, Jeremy, next question. How many boobs were in this movie?
A whole lot of none.
That is exactly correct.
We had some sheer see-through dresses, but no boobs.
Yeah. The reason for that is the first Conan movie, it was rated R. So they were trying to be more on the safer side, and they went with a PG rating with this one to try to get more audiences in. So all the boobs got cut out.
Sad day.
This was actually a few years before Temple of Doom, where they created the PG-13 rating. So if this might have come out after Temple of Doom, there might have been some boobs in it.
Just missed the mark.
But they had to cut boobs. They had to cut some violence. And in different versions, they cut some of the animal cruelty, but not in the version we watched.
There was plenty of it.
All right. So It's time for the final question. Ryan, this is for at 1 point, which will still make you lose, even if you get it.
But I'm invested.
Some points are better than none. So, final question. Since our last Conan review, have you had the chance to punch a camel, later on re-encounter that camel, apologize to said camel, have that camel rebuke your apology, and then did you knock it out?
No, because I am not Conan the Barbarian.
Not allowed to punch animals.
Yep. So, in our first podcast, we made a lot of jokes about camel punching. Well, they do a freaking callback to the whole thing, where that exact scenario I just listed happens.
Which was great, but flawed. How the fuck did Malik know?
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's the exact same thing I asked myself. Like, Malik wasn't there. How did he recognize that camel?
He literally says, hey Conan, doesn't that camel look familiar? How do you know? You were there. Where's Subutai? I want a refund.
All right. So Jeremy wins 2-1. Maybe one day I'll make a tiebreaker in case you guys tie up. But as of today, we do not need a tiebreaker.
Participation trophies for everyone.
Yep.
Including our listeners.
And you get bragging rights too. That's very important. So let's dive into the movie. I don't know if we mentioned like the very, very, very beginning of the movie last time, but like each of the movies is like narrated by Mako.
Yeah, that's true. I don't recall if we mentioned that, but yeah, that's true.
I don't think we did. But, you know, Mako comes in, he's the wizard character. Long ago, in a distant past, I am Mako, the wizard of something or another. Yeah, Mako returns, but not Subutai.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
I think we could have lived without Mako's character returning.
Although it did add into more of the theme they went with, introducing more magic and shit like that.
I'm going to have some criticism about that, and I've got a feeling like you guys are going to have some criticism about that too.
Foreshadow.
Magic is fucking useless.
Yes, it is absolutely useless, and that was one of my biggest problems with this movie.
Can't wait to talk about that scene. So after Mako's doing his like, oh, I remember Conan and all this stuff, and like we jump straight into the movie. Like there's no more need for backstory. Like we just see Conan like barbarian like the whole movie.
Yeah, not a whole lot of backstory, but they do a little bit of building as it goes along. At least he has a quest this time around.
Yeah, he's trying to bring back Lady Thief from the first movie. I think they said her name like more times in the second one than they did the first one.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Beginning of the movie, Conan's praying to Chrome, and Malik's like counting their treasure because he's been plundering since he's a barbarian. Queen Tairimo shows up. Just as a important note, this is Queen Tairimo, not Queen Tairimo. We are the Tairimo Boys. We don't have a queen, so please don't confuse the two.
Yes, please.
She shows up, tries... I don't know what the heck she was trying to do. Was she trying to capture Conan originally? The movie kind of sets it up like, hey, they're going to capture Conan. Maybe he stole something, because, I mean, they're counting treasure and all that. But now, after Conan's kind of slaughtered her guard, then she talks to him. I don't see why you throw away all your men's lives like that.
Right, that was quite a waste of the Royal Guard.
I do have to say, though, we kind of got like a power level of Conan during that fight, because at one point, there's two guys holding a net trying to capture Conan. Conan grabs the net and just completely he pulls over the freaking horses with his strength. So, at a bare minimum, Conan has a horsepower of at least 2.
His facial expressions in this movie, like it starts with that scene. Like I'm pretty sure the director was like, "All right, Conan, we need more facial expressions out of you. More eye holes, Conan. More eye holes." He just looks like surprised in most of his fight scenes. Did you guys notice that?
I mean, he gets like ambushed a lot, so I'd be pretty surprised too. You know, even though we got criticism about Malik coming out of nowhere, like they set up his fighting method like early.
Like a little rogue.
Yeah, he's playing like a rogue character. All throughout the movie, he's either finishing off the people that have gotten knocked over, or he's jumping like the back of their horses and just like aggressively stabbing them.
And there's Malik.
They set up his character. I mean, his character is like simple, scaredy kind of rogue character. Still a likable character. I mean, we would have liked Subutai there, but we've already been into that.
Did this just become the I Miss Subutai podcast?
Yes.
Don't you miss Subutai, Ryan?
I do. Everybody misses Subutai.
I think we've addressed the Subutai problem perfectly now.
A lack of Subutai. That's the Subutai problem.
He's just a character that stuck with us. Like, where's his loyal companion at? Now you just got a guy that's ready to pussy out until the second wave of men comes. Scared
Right? Until you get scared.
I did like the whole thing Malik was doing where, like, every time shit hit the fan, he was, like, sitting there swallowing jewels. Take through my crap later for these.
Hey, gotta keep him safe somehow. Makes sense to me. But I don't know, those were some large diamonds he was swallowing. I don't know if I'm gonna crap those out later.
You've heard of eating lightning and crapping thunder. Imagine eating diamonds and crapping out even larger diamonds.
That, and I don't know, but eating diamonds at that time, I don't know if that was a thing, but man, you eat one too big, clog yourself up. There wasn't a whole lot of, first aid or hospitals around. That's be a death sentence right there.
Well, back
Just
in
clog you up.
back in like Genghis Khan times, they'd stick the hilt of their swords up your butt to get you unconstipated.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, there's your Tairimo Boys fun fact. Eventually, the queen comes down, talks to Conan, and they go back to their little kingdom. And we're basically given the whole quest of, hey, I need you to take this virgin princess.
They really made that known.
Yep, that's a very important fact. It was supposed to be an even more important. There's a reason they just remember PG rating. Conan was supposed to fuck the shit out of her in the original plot. I've already read.
I thought that was going to happen from the beginning because they enunciated that shit so much. She must remain a virgin. She will be a virgin. Blah blah blah. Like, all right. Well, we know what happens with Conan.
Yeah, he was supposed to take her to Pound Town, but PG rating. We're introduced to her like captain of the guard, like Bombado, right away, and he kind of joins us on this quest. Then one of the things like we're introduced right away to with him is like he's gonna eventually betray them. Like that's like literally laid out right away.
Yep, the whole plot is just laid out for you right there in the beginning.
She's got to go. They got to take like some like ruby or something, and then they take the ruby somewhere to get a horn, and they bring the horn back to resurrect a god. And in return, the queen's gonna resurrect warrior lady from the first movie.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Like it was such an obvious double cross.
See that shit coming a mile away. So speaking of Bombada, fun fact is that man apparently was so tall they had to find a horse for him. They had to find it in Spain. It was a monster horse. I was trying to see if I could tell the difference between the horses they had for the rest of the cast versus him. But there are points you can see how tall this man is.
Yeah, that was Wilt Chamberlain, right? Ryan?
Yep. Netted over 6 million women.
We didn't get to see that though because PG rating.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy's like I don't know if he still is a basketball player.
No, not anymore.
Yeah, he's probably way too old for it now. It's been like, what, 30 years? 35, whatever. Well, it's been a long time.
He passed
He
away
also
in
passed
99.
away in 1999.
Yep.
Okay, well, he's definitely not playing basketball now.
In the heavens.
I thought he was someone that's still, because I've heard Wilt Chamberlain before, so I thought he was someone that's still wandering around. Guess not. Wander around in heaven.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, so we got the quest. We gotta get the ruby. So everyone sets out, and we're told like right away that like a wizard has the ruby, which kind of gets you psyched. Like, oh boy, they're gonna fight a wizard. In the first movie, we had to do that stupid magic of the flesh or something. Jeremy, do you remember?
Vaguely.
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually a power. It was, hey, I'm the cult leader and these people listen to me type deals. And the guy also turned to a snake, so there you go. But now we're kind of hyped up like, oh, we're going to actually get some magic in here. Also, Mako's character, he's supposed to be a wizard and there's all that spirit stuff. But like they realized like right away, it's like, hey, if we go and fight a wizard, this guy's going to be extremely magical. So we should probably get a wizard of our own. And for some reason, Mako's character left the burial ground he used to watch, and now he's getting cooked alive by witch doctors.
They're going to have themselves a snack. They also did very conveniently find him.
Yeah, exactly. I realized that right away. Oh, we just conveniently happened upon these, like our wizard friend getting eaten by witch doctors.
Yeah, that bothered me. I felt like there was a lot of conveniences in this movie.
Plot has to keep on going. Ryan, what would you do if you were being cooked alive by witch doctors?
Well, I'd try to escape. I feel like that would be my first priority.
Fair
But
enough.
then again, I've had a good run.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. That was good.
We watch Conan slaughter the witch doctors and save the wizard character. Okay, so they named him this time. I actually got this written down. It's Akiro. So,
Yep.
I don't know why they suddenly named him, and not in the first movie, but ta-da.
Akiro, the wizard.
So we've got a wizard of our own, and boy, is it disappointing. So
Yeah, oh yeah.
like the only magic he seems to know is like door closing magic and hurting a guy's face magic.
We can't get to the door closing part yet, but that was the epic magic battle.
Okay, I've got door closing magic in my hands. I think there's supposed to be like actual like grand wizards in this universe, but we don't ever see any of it. And maybe it's budget. Like I hope it's budget, but it's just disappointing. But before we can get to the wizard, we get to Zula's whole thing. I gotta say, like I have a feeling like whoever designed her was probably a furry. Because if you didn't notice, like she was wearing
Tail.
like a thong with a tail.
And it wiggled. And they had sound effects for the tail.
I mean, even with as silly as it was, I liked her character. Like the idea is like, oh, she was like some bandit character that last of her tribe or whatever, and we captured her, and now we're gonna beat her to death because we're in a PG rated movie now. So Conan decides to sees her. She's lazy captured. Oh well, let's call it that. Kind of like being lazy crucified, where instead of chaining her, you just tie her with a rope. Conan decides to free her. Kind of like a whole Subutai. Well, Conan kind of frees her. It's like, hey, if you're gonna be fighting a woman, you need to do it on fair ground. And she's like a freaking stick. She ends up like fighting her way out and escaping and joining up with the group.
A lot of sticks in this movie. I don't know if you've noticed it with the Royal Guard, but they also had quite a few sticks.
Not even spears either. They're just sticks.
Straight sticks.
Kind of want to beat their opponents into submission.
Beat the shit out of someone with a log.
It's called a club for a reason. But eventually they reach the fortress of the wizard, and that's when we start like the second act.
To the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, the fortress is solitude. That's perfect. The fortress is like made out of freaking crystal. So it looks exactly like the Fortress of Solitude.
100%.
Jeremy, you know the lady that plays the queen who's in Superman 2?
Oh my god, it keeps going. Maybe that was her idea. She brought it with her.
I did this movie once. This place needs a fortress.
This needs a fortress. Let's make it out of crystals.
Pick it off crystals because the one I saw was made out of crystals and I liked it.
Well, at least she brought something to the movie. Certainly wasn't boobs and wasn't much for acting.
Well, she brought tons of outfits. I remember there's like one scene where she's like wearing some like bird looking thing over her chest, and like she walks to another room and she's wearing something completely different.
Towards the end?
Yeah, it was towards the end.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that too. What the hell?
So fashion was definitely not one of them. Get to the fortress, and Conan, like a good lazy barbarian, says, "Let's set up camp. I don't feel like doing this tonight."
I did love that part though, when the princess was bitching at Conan. It's like, no, we go tonight. He's like, I'm the leader, and Conan's, we'll lead in the morning.
Siege in the morning. They go to sleep, and then the wizard, who's like scrying through his like little ruby thing. That's the MacGuffin here.
Goldfinger.
What was that, Jeremy?
Goldfingers. Goldfinger's the wizard.
Yeah, he had those like little like golden claws things. Didn't amount to anything.
No, I thought we were going to get a rated R rating for a little bit.
The guy's name was Tough. Was it Tough Amal?
That sounds close.
I think he played like a. I think the guy who played a role in the first movie.
He was also the mechanic in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That was it. That's what I remember seeing. He was like he's the German like mechanic in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And the giant thuggy in Temple of Doom, and extra number 2 in Last Crusade.
His parts really got downgraded as the movies went on.
It was all downhill.
What was he in Crystal Skull?
Dead.
Was he the skull?
So they set up camp, and the wizard is watching him. He ends up turning into like a windy pterodactyl, goes and just flies and grabs her. So we're off to a good start with like the magic use. Like, hey, this guy can turn into a freaking pterodactyl. We're not going to get to see that very much anymore.
Nope.
So everyone's panicking, and it's time to siege the castle. No, the Fortress of Solitude. So they grab him the boat, go in, and this is where we first see Mako using his magic with, like, oh, this door's locked. There's another way underneath the water here. And Malik is kind of all pussied out. He's like, I don't want to swim. But he kind of gets dragged along anyway.
That was Akiro's. That was one of the only powers he showed besides opening doors, was being able to point things out. Akiro the Pathfinder.
Kira the Observer, the guy with 2 eyes. You just have to wonder if how much, if they had like a huge budget, like how much better would this movie have been? I mean, not just like we've already given a Tairimo Boys certified fun.
Oh yes.
But I mean, it still has problems, especially when it comes to the magic department.
Even though it was fun, we have to pick at it.
Yeah, we're really gonna have to pick at this next part.
Oh god, this is the most bothersome scene in the entire movie for me.
So before we get into that, I have to say, I don't know about you guys, but I liked like the set design for the fortress. Like I thought they did really well, going with the campy art style that they use.
I mean, yeah, Fortress of Solitude looked great.
Like I even like as soon as I get into the I dove the swimming and get into the fortress, they're climbing like a spiral staircase, and like I think that looked like really good. But I mean, I did notice like the trick they were doing with that, where the thing was essentially a freaking model, and they slapped a green screen on it, had a different set where everyone was climbing the stairs. But even so, it looked good.
I'd have to agree, it looked pretty good.
All right, so let's address the fight with the wizard.
Oh Lord.
They're close to the wizard, and Conan ends up walking into a kind of the room with the ruby in it, and the door closes behind him, and he is surrounded by mirrors. So it's like a freaking funhouse, circular funhouse.
The Fun House of Solitude.
That's a good name for it.
The Funhouse of Solitude. I love that.
It's probably also worth mentioning that the wizard went behind one of the mirrors too. So Conan's trapped in here. He's separated from the rest of the group. They're all stuck watching, and the wizard's behind another one. So it starts out like really promising. Like you see this, the room's like filled with like all these like red hooded figures, and one of them starts walking and converging with all the others. You could tell, like, oh, there's some kind of fancy shenanigans going on here. Some magical wizard shenanigans. Then he takes off the hood, and we see, like, the worst makeup job creature in the world.
Oh yeah, that was a rough one.
This is preceded by the worst grappling fight in the world.
Yes, this fight, I mean, it was set up to be pretty big.
Set it up, like, you get all hyped for it, and it's so bad. Conan and the red hooded monster just grappling each other.
That was pretty much it.
I thought he was gonna do a Bane and pick Conan up and like break him over his knee.
But we could only wish.
Yeah, that didn't even happen. It was just them like squeezing each other.
It's a lot of man-on-man contact.
And, like,
just man-on-monster.
Man-on-mirror monster.
The Conan finds out his weakness by accidentally bumping one of his mirrors.
Yeah, it's like he's like doing this like really weird break over the back thing, and Conan kicks the mirrors, and it slashes the monster up. Because Conan's been trying to attack this monster, and it only lets him grapple him, but he can't slash it with his sword. Kind of a good concept, but yeah, The only way to fight the mirror monster is to attack the mirrors of the mirror monster. Perfectly reasonable. So you have Conan going across the room, smashing mirrors, and you're watching as the monster's getting more and more injured by each smashed mirror. Where it's getting to the point where it's like hiding under its freaking cloak. It's like, is that really gonna be able to do anything? So
Who knew the mirrors was his kryptonite?
yeah, this kryptonite, this fortress of solitude. So eventually, we're left with two mirrors. Behind one of them's the wizard, and behind one of them is the rest of the group. Conan has to make a choice. Like, which one am I gonna throw my sword at? This choice is like stupid. The rest of the group, they could just move away from the mirror. They make this be like a high stakes thing. But if the group would,
But it really wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't. But Conan figures out like only the monster's only in one of the mirrors, so he throws his sword and it impales the wizard, and the wizard dies. That's
See, I had a problem with that. That's a 50-50 shot. You're going to throw your sword and take a 50% chance to get stabbed in the back. Or picked up again and grappled and squeezed.
The monster was kind of like, I'm done. So maybe if he broke both of them, the monster would have been completely dead. But either way, impales the wizard, and the wizard dies without throwing out a magical ability.
And that was the end of Goldfingers.
It's the end of Goldfingers. All right. We've got a special segment now. We've been saving this, well, I've been saving this segment for like really bad movies, and we've kind of hinted on this before. But this is a new segment we're doing for the first time. We're going to definitely do it more in the future when we actually start looking at bad movies, called the Tairimo Boys Fix. Ryan, I want you to come up with a way to fix this whole scene.
No pressure.
All right. The entire wizard scene?
Yes.
All right. Instead of grappling like a bunch of 4-year-olds, hire the stunt coordinators for every Jackie Chan movie. And then what else I got to fix? What happens next? He fights the wizard.
No, he fights the mirror monster, and then
Fights the mirror monster.
And the wizard just kind of dies really quick.
Yeah. I have a better idea. Hang on, scratch that. I have a better idea. Why don't we just cut that scene?
And fixed.
Yeah.
Tairimo Boys stamp of approval.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on the cutting idea, because if they just go in and get the ruby, then like nothing happens. There's got to be a little bit of opposition in the way.
Would have been more fun if the monster actually materialized more and was just that big of a badass. And if the crew came in to fight some of those mirror images, and they realized it was going nowhere, and they led up to like a better way to figure it out instead of accidentally breaking the glass, like someone came up with the idea, that would have been better for me. Like it says stupid dumb luck. Oh, I kicked the mirror and slashed up the monster.
That's your answer, Jeremy?
That's my answer.
I'm going to present mine. Jeremy, you'll know what I'm talking about. 4 words. Deacons of the Deep.
Yep. Oh, God, one of the most nightmarish fights in all of the Soul series.
That's the easiest one. Especially when you got the freaking ring equipped to where you heal on hit.
All right, well, maybe I didn't have the ring.
It's the second freaking boss. It's one of his soul items. Do I want this useless sword when I got a ton of other weapons, or do I want the ring that heals on hit in a game where healing's restricted?
It healed on hit, didn't it? Heal over time?
No.
See, I don't even remember. It's been so long.
But anyways, my idea of the fight would be, instead of like all the like red hooded people merging, they're all actual people. They're like cultists from this wizard. And I like Jeremy's idea where everyone's in there fighting. So we would make the room like really huge, and they'd be fighting these cultists. Whenever one of them's cut down, they shatter into like a million pieces. But another one appears from the mirrors, so we never get a reveal of who's under the hood. So we get rid of that crappy makeup monster. They're fighting these cultists, and they figure out, hey, we need to destroy these mirrors. So they start destroying the mirrors. But there's more mirrors like up on the ceiling, so you can never get rid of them. That's when they notice, like, hey, there is a guy hanging out in the back that is not attacking us, but he's kind of using like all the other cultists as kind of like a shield. So they do some shenanigans, get around him, and Conan impales him with his sword, and that's the wizard. And as soon as that happens, all the mirrors break, and we've actually got a good fight.
And it's fixed. We just brought live action Deacons of the Deep.
Ryan still has no idea what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Princess who was kidnapped comes out. She grabs the ruby, and Bombado puts it away because only the princess can touch it. But for some reason, Bombado can carry it around in a sack. Fortress self-destruct sequence starts on it, and they escape. Without Superman, the Fortress of Solitude just crumbles into the sea. Well, more like a lake, but whatever. They're heading back. Well, they're kind of vague about it, but like something need to be done with this ruby, and we figure it out. Like they go, Bombado tries. This like royal guard shows up, and they try like kidnapping the princess and killing Conan, but that doesn't work, and Bombado somehow gets away with it. Eventually, they figure out like, hey, we need the princess. Is like, hey, I'm using my own powers because she's got powers apparently. To figure out when you go into this crypt and use the jewel to get the horn. So this is where we start seeing Mako's door opening powers.
The most epic wizard fight that you're going to see.
So they go in, use the ruby, Mako's opening doors. They end up trading the ruby for like a jeweled horn, like ornament type thing. As soon as they got the horn, they're trying to leave. That's when like I guess it would be court wizard shows up. So the idea behind this horn is they're going to put this horn in the statue, and it's going to wake up the sleeping god. Of course, we're at the point of, alright, time for the double cross. Court wizard shows up with like a huge freaking army, and they're stuck in the tomb. Whenever the fighting starts, I did like minus the cardboard swords, I felt like all the like fights with weapons felt real, especially when they were using like squib packs for the slashes and stuff. But anytime like people were throwing each other around or grappling, it was like fake as fuck.
You didn't like Arnold's wrestling moves?
No, they're too fake.
It looked like he was going to do a Bane for a second when he picked up that royal guard straight over his head and threw him into like 6 other royal guards.
But they retreat deeper in the tomb, and that's where we get our epic wizard fights, where Mako the wizard, Kira the wizard, is fighting like the court wizard, where they're trying to open this dragon mouth door. They're struggling with each other. It's an epic battle of magic.
Court wizard opens, Akira shuts. Court wizard opens, Akira shuts. And that was our epic wizard fight.
Yeah, and then magical punch in the face and the shut. Luckily for them, there isn't a secret escape route in there. Bombado betrays them, runs off. Everyone unfortunately escapes, and we get the final act. So all the stakes are set. We're told that the princess has to be a virgin and sacrifice herself in order to bring back this sleeping god. So they stick the horn in the statue, and he starts to come to life. And before they could sacrifice the princess, Conan comes in, and it's worth mentioning. Conan and Barbado fight. Barbado, of course, dies because it's Conan the Barbarian, Bombado the Barbarian. No, Bombado the Royal Guard.
One of them had to go.
Ryan, would you watch that spin-off?
Oh, absolutely. I've been jonesing for that kind of spin-off.
Today on Bombado, the Royal Guard. Bombado deals with guards sleeping during their shift. They fight. At one point, he pulls a Muhammad Ali or is it Mike Tyson and bites off Conan's ear for a single scene.
Right? Did he even have blood on his face after that? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but I know the ear was still there. Ritual gets underway. They stick the horn in the statue, fail to resurrect the god with a sacrifice, and it's like the god turns into a monster. Let's talk about this.
Fucking ugly. The end.
The statue's like this marble, like relaxed guy. Like it's supposed to like look beautiful, but because they botched like the resurrecting without doing the proper sacrifice, it morphs into this ugly monster. And Conan has to duke it out with this. So I gotta ask the question: like, how powerful are gods in this universe? In the first movie, we're told the story about Crom and how like he like safeguarded steel, and then humans stole it, and he started like a giant war, and then he forgot about it, and life went on. But we have Conan the Barbarian fighting like a freaking living god, and Conan ends up killing this damn thing.
He does. The only thing I can do is to justify just play devil's advocate and just be like, well, maybe because bringing back the god, they didn't sacrifice the virgin, they botched him up, so he wasn't as powerful as he normally would have been. That was the only explanation.
I will give you a point for that. So 3 points to Ryan's 1 point.
I do have to say too, like that was the most epic shot in the entire movie. Like when Arnold was getting ready to save the princess, and he shows up, and he's holding the axe in one hand and the sword in the other. That was an epic shot.
I did like that. Like I wish like he would actually have like dual wielded and fought this thing, but
that was the only time like it really caught my attention. I was like, wow, I'm fucking pumped for the scene. He's about to fight a god, and it's a hell of an injury.
Yeah, the queen. Yeah, the first thing the god does is like kill the queen, just impales her on his damn horn.
Right, which he could have done to anyone else who may have been grappling with him. Wink, wink.
That they knew what to expect after that. I mean, it's not a bad fight. Like it's got some minor. Like this is a campy movie that feels like it's got a cheap budget type thing. Like you've got a monster. They're actually slashing it. You're seeing slash marks appear on it. It's bleeding all over the place. Even though its blood is at one point red and then it turns to green.
Yep, I saw that too.
But they get the idea eventually that hey, the horn is its weak point. So Conan, using his 2+ horsepower strength, grabs the horn, just rips it out, and then they slay the damn thing. God's dead. Queen's dead. We have to constantly talk all the time about how the royal lineage works. So now, as properly intended, the princess is now the queen. We're at the end of our journey. Princess, of course, doesn't have the ability to resurrect the dead. So Conan kind of got screwed. The princess definitely didn't get screwed because this is a PG movie.
She remained a virgin.
So she's rewarding everyone.
Return to the Jedi style.
Yep. Time to give everyone positions. Bombado's dead, so Zula's replacing him. The evil court wizard's dead. Yeah, I got to mention that. He died. Conan chucks his fucking sword at him, impales him. But yeah, he's dead. Akiro is the new court wizard. Who knows? That's probably not going to last forever because Akiro is also the narrator and pretty much says that he was by Conan's side a lot. Malik gets kind of fucking screwed, you know. He becomes the court jester.
Well, he wasn't far off from being the movie jester, so he was the comic relief. That's how he ended it.
And of course, Conan's offered the position of king, but Conan's a barbarian and wants to forge his own kingdom instead of being handed it to him. So he wanders off for more adventures, which we never get to see in movie form.
Unfortunately.
That's the Conan the Barbarian series. Ryan, final thoughts?
It was stupid, but the fun kind of stupid.
Jeremy, final thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I went in with schmedium expectations. I still had it delivered in a schmedium way.
The second movie is kind of controversial because of the PG rating, but it does a lot of stuff right. It's mostly just barbarianing instead of all the backstory that we had to deal with in the first one. They've been trying to make a sequel since it came out, but that's always been in like development hell, and then they rebooted the series and that kind of failed. I think we might actually look into that one of these days, because I think it failed because they got away from the campiness of it. I just want to say too, we never found out what happened to that witch that Conan yeeted into the fire.
Nope, never did.
Alright, Ryan, on a scale of the Lord of the Rings trilogy to the U-Bowl Dungeon Siege movie, where would you rank this?
That's a good question. I'd rank it in the cartoon Hobbit from the 80s?
Mm.
Sounds about right.
Well said.
Jeremy, what about you?
I actually don't know that second movie. So
I don't either, but I know it's bad.
If it's really bad, I'm good.
It's a U-Bowl movie.
It's U-Bowl. I'd put it a little less than half of towards Lord of the Rings.
Our scales make no fucking sense ever.
I just don't know how to scale it.
Alright, that was Conan 2. Maybe one day we'll get the Conan remake. But eventually we're going to get to... there's a third movie that people think is a Conan movie, but it's not. So maybe someday we'll get to that.
It's going to happen.
till then, stay golden. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, even though it's a crypto scam. And stay tuned for another episode of the Tairimo Boys podcast.
Later.